Hello, hi, thank you for being here. My name is Kaitlyn Michelle, and let's talk life and esoterics, because that's what this is all about. I hope you had a wonderful week. Last week, of course, was the fall equinox. Did you do anything? If so, I would love to hear what you decided to do. And since the phone lines aren't yet open, I'd like to say feel free to write me a message. If you aren't comfortable writing anything publicly on any of these platforms, be it Spreaker, Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, you could also email me. And this is the first time that I am giving this option, so I'll give you a moment if you want to write it down, just to get a pen. So are you ready? It is hello, life, and that's A-N-D, esoterics at gmail.com. And if you have any stories or questions or anything, feel free to reach out to me on there, and then I will do my best to answer or to include your commentary in a future episode. So last week for the fall equinox, I ended up holding a meditation circle complete with a cacao ceremony. And this was actually the first time I had ever been to, let alone held, a cacao ceremony. And you know what? It was really wonderful. I'd like to do another one, actually, maybe as part of like an evening hike as the moon begins to shine. It would be really cool, actually, if I can find a river nearby, but that might be asking too much, being in the desert. But would anyone like to join me on that? I mean, of course, you'd have to be here in Vegas, but I would love to have anyone interested to be a part of that, and let me know if that's a thing that you would like to do. And then I could actually organize it. But, last week I think was overall pretty good. We took my little one apple picking, now that he's big enough to do it this year, and to enjoy it. He was having a blast. And I'm really happy that we have something like that here in the desert. It's not quite like it is back east, but it's really wonderful still. And we also picked a few pumpkins. We have all different colors, actually. We have green pumpkins, white pumpkins, and some light orange. And they're now adorning our front porch. But, on the other hand, I did have a bout of adrenal fatigue that really hit me hard this past Sunday. My eyes and my face were so puffy, and I was just incredibly exhausted. It took me a few days and a night of a lot of sleep. Like, I fell asleep at 6:30, I think, p.m. But I'm feeling about 95% today, and I'm still just trying to take it slow. What else? I do feel like I've been turned on to some really riveting information, though. The nanny who takes care of my son on Wednesday afternoons, so I can do things like this podcast, radio show, whatever this thing is, and also work on my other, 5 businesses. Anyway, she's a really gifted astrologer, and she lent me a couple of books regarding an aspect of the astrology chart called the North Node. And I think I may have mentioned this in another episode, but maybe not. I really feel like I have, though. Anyway, she told me that this is one of the first aspects of a chart that she looks at, and I can really understand why now after reading the books that she gave me. So the North Node of the moon is a mathematical point. It's not a planet. And it points to our soul's incarnational path. It lays out the relationship between our emotions and our consciousness, and how these entwined energies are meant to unfold, of course, with our free will through action, to how they're supposed to unfold to achieve what we haven't in past lives. Its opposite point, the South Node, points to what we have already done quite a lot of in past incarnations. To relate this to numerology, because I am a numerologist, these points would relate to our karmic lessons. for the North Node, and the achievements on our quote-unquote karmic report card for the South Node. But I'm also thinking that the life path and the sub-lessons also mix in here as part of what the nodes in astrology are describing. So the nodes, I think, are all of that. It's actually pretty cool to see how just basically one aspect in astrology describes how all of these many different aspects in numerology work together and play out. So anyway, I've been voraciously reading these books and taking lots of notes and having lots and lots of conversations with Nick, my husband. And we've both been connecting some dots about our past lives. I have. Nick isn't always so convinced that we reincarnate. He's open to it. Especially now that he hears that he's either been royalty or some other sort of venerated leader in previous incarnations. But basically, we've been connecting the dots between what our comfort zones are and where we get stuck in our previous lives, and then what we are here to be or to achieve and learn this time around, which is the complete opposite of the past, obviously. So, for example, apparently I personally have had many, many incarnations as a quote-unquote householder, or basically a housewife or a nurturer, or someone who is kind of like confined within the home without much opportunity to exercise her or his, I guess, own will in the world. And I think, actually, I have explained this in the past to Nick as like a feeling, but I think that this explains a lot of why I have put so much thought into raising my children and organizing my household, even years before having any children of my own. And I think it's also why I get so lost in mothering and housekeeping and like all of those miserable chores. Mothering is not a miserable chore. I'm talking about housekeeping. And why I get so lost in all of this to this day, even while I'm still also trying to juggle all my different businesses and projects. It's still the primary for me because it's my comfort zone. But this time around, I have to learn how to be out in the world and take on more of a, I guess, like a quote-unquote provider role. And this would be the very first time in my incarnations that I do this. And I've always known this deep down inside that that's what I'm supposed to do. And I did a good job of it in my early 20s, really before I just got totally lost. That was when I was out in the world and I was achieving pretty quickly. But I felt like when I left the workplace, when I chose to leave, I lost something. And it was a bit of an ego death. But after some time went by, I started exploring more independent options, as a business owner, to earn money. So after having this reaffirmed in such a clear way, Nick and I have been reorganizing who's in charge of what, not only in our main business, but also in our household. And so far, it's been about a week of this, but so far it has felt super positive for both of us. And it's just a shame that we didn't figure this out a lot earlier. And another bonus in reading about the North and South nodes is also learning about our sun. And his North Node is in Gemini. And by the way, this actually applies to any child that was born or will be born between May 5th of 2020 and January 18th of 2022. So that's this coming January. That's the end of this period. So for all of the souls that are coming in, the little ones being born in this time period, they have spent many lifetimes going off alone to mountaintops, deserts, ashrams, forests, wherever really, to search for the truth, with a big T. They've been mystics, but this has been at the expense of being lonely and feeling isolated. And this time around, these souls are coming in because they want to learn how to connect with others. So if your little one is anything like mine, and he was born towards the beginning of this period, so he's a little bit older than, he's at the time where he could be babbling and starting to kind of talk a little bit. But if your little one is anything like him, you've probably noticed a marked fascination with other kids and also lots of talking or babbling. And I really do mean a lot of talking or babbling, of course. So anyway, after reading this information about him, I decided to amp up his opportunities to be around other kids. And I've been making a point to bring him to the park a lot. And he has been loving it. He has been letting out squeals of excitement that I could just see go through his whole body just by being near other kids who are playing. It's just like his heart is singing, and it's so lovely to see and witness. He's shining brighter this week after being around other kids. He also played with our neighbor's kid yesterday. He wanted to go outside, and so I brought him outside, and across the street, our neighbor, who's a couple years older than he is, was playing, but he wanted to play, and they played for quite a while, and he was in such a good mood last night afterwards. So it's been making a lot, this information that I've gleaned from these books has really been making a huge difference in our family and our household. And it's only been 1 week. And I'm still working my way through these books and all this information. I'm not even done. But I really am so excited. I wanted to share. So as I said, I'm still working through these books. But if you want to check them out for yourself, they're both by the same author. Her name is Jan Spiller. And the books are called Cosmic Love and Astrology for the Soul. And that's basically what I'm into right now. So I guess instead of wrapping up with the section on what I'm into right now, I'd like to read a Rumi poem that I opened up to just before coming on here. And it's called Whoever is Molding Your Breath. Whoever is molding your breath, that alone in hard times will not leave you alone, beaming your heart with hopeful dreams, finding lovely friends for your home. Okay, so that about rounds out the show. And as per usual, I'll just state, as we grow here, I do hope to open the phone lines to callers, so stick around and also let me know that that's something that would be of interest. And again, if you want to reach out to me through email, my email is hellolifeandesoterics@gmail.com. And expect me back here again next Wednesday, and take really good care.